Welcome to the wild world of the diagnostic laboratory industry, where we focus on science, compliance, sales, marketing, and self-mastery. Welcome to Lab Results with Blake. I'm your host, Blake Bork. I'm seeing a prevailing problem get wider and wider and wider in the lab industry today. And it's something that we're going to have to address head on. And it's something I'm actually looking forward to being able to help solve for laboratories. And that's sales leader development. We have a lot of sales leaders out there that have a hard time leading other people, either because they've never done that. They've never been trained to lead other people. They don't have, the required. It's not an experience thing, because you can learn how to lead people from a sports standpoint, from a coach standpoint. You can learn how to lead people from different industries and come into lab and understand like what drives people, how to get them clear on what their targets and their goals are, how to hold up the accountability mirror for them and make sure that they're doing what they need to do, how to set, daily meetings, 15-minute stand-up meetings, Scrum project management outlines. Like, there are leaders that exist, right? And they're leading people, but then there's this special kind of content expert that needs to also exist in lab sales, because it's one thing to point people in a direction and say, go do this, because this is what leaders do. And this is what people who follow leaders do. And it's your job. It's another thing to have led from that place and have done it before. And there's not enough high quality sales reps in the industry that have done both, that have both led people, been taught to lead, seen good leadership, understand good leadership, and have also been a high performer as a salesperson. Because honestly, if I'm a lab executive and I've got a guy who's a great leader and he's a high performer, if his book of business is making me $3-4 million a year, which is modest in lab, honestly. A solid performer, $250,000, $300,000 a month in revenue off of a molecular book or a toxicology book of business. That's attainable. It's definitely not out of the question. Do you want to take that person that you're making that money off of and put them in a place where you lose the ability for them to be able to perform and maintain the revenue, to put them in a spot where now they're leading others, where they may or may not be able to hit the same type of revenue targets? It's a risk that you take whenever you move a top performer and you put them in a middle management leadership position. Will they be happy there? A lot of sales reps who don't feel comfortable doing the cold calling and don't feel comfortable going meet new people, and really they do it because it's their paycheck. They pretend like they like it, but they're not real hunters. They're more gatherers. They want to set up systems that produce fruit for them. They don't really like going out there to hunt for blood every single day. Those people typically get into middle management positions and they're satisfied. Real hunters that need to close people all day long, that really want to see a deal come through, that they get their jollies off by having a provider say clearly no, and then through tenacity and through clarity and through confidence and through courage and commitment, they end up getting that provider to say yes. And then at the end of the rainbow, that provider is their best friend. Like, there are salespeople out there who absolutely love that. They are going to hate moving to middle management, because they're not going to be the ones that are going to take the time and the energy to look at pipelines and the way it's done today. In sales today, I'm speaking directly to middle managers. I mean, if you're having a pipeline meeting where you're asking people to give you how many calls they made last week, and where is it at in the deal, and what's the percentage that it's going to close? Yeah, but what's the percentage? All right. So, I'm trying to figure out how to forecast your sales pipeline so I can give it to the board. What's the percentage that you think it's going to close? And then you give them some guess, because you don't know, because it's not a real thing. There's not a percentage that somebody's going to close. They either close or they don't. All right. So if I tell you, they got a 75% chance to close, they got 0% chance of closing because they're not closed yet. They're either a yes or they're no. Until they are a yes, they are a no. The percentage is nothing. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So stop forcing people to lie to you about their pipelines. Ask instead, hey, how can we help you? What needs to happen for this client to close? I don't care about your percentage. I don't want your strategic guess. What I really want is to know, what do you need from our laboratory to be able to help you close? If you're a middle manager out there, if you're a lab leader out there, if you're somebody who employs sales reps, just do this, okay? How can I serve you? What do you need help with? What is standing in your way? Is there anything we can do to make this better? Where are we falling short? That should be like the mantra inside of your head as you talk to sales reps. You don't spin it and blame them for what's going on. You don't spin it and say, because the salesperson, if they trust you, they'll tell you the truth. If they don't trust you, they're going to say this. Oh, no, everything's great. Oh, no, you guys are doing awesome. Oh, no, everything's good. It's just going to take some time. That person's lying to you because they don't trust you, because they're afraid you're going to fire them, because they're afraid if they told you the truth, if they told you, hey, listen, our marketing sucks. Our branding is literally non-existent. We have a logo. We don't have a good website. We don't have any social media. Like, we have no follow through. We're onboarding people literally with toothpicks. We have no workflow here. And every time we bring something up that can be improved, we get our heads bit off by a lab manager, our chief operations officer, who says we're just making excuses, when all we're trying to do really is get good clinical care back to the patients. That's a salesperson that should be rewarded, because they're telling you the truth. They're holding up a mirror. They're not making excuses. Now, if you go out and you're like, hey, look, how can I make my requisition form better? And they're like, I don't know. Cool. Tell me what's wrong with my report. I don't know. All right. So you said our turnaround time sucks. How's that? Like, what do you think's a good turnaround time? Let's go talk to your clients. Well, honestly, that's a liar. Right? So the cool thing about it is that the mirror works both ways. The sales leader, when asking, how can we make things better? What you're looking to do is to purge the stories that are controlling your salesperson. But truth has got to follow truth. Trust is going to follow trust. If you're both lying to each other, you're going to get nowhere. And who's ultimately paying the price, you've heard me say this before, is the patient care. Because the laboratory is not focused on advancing care forward. They're focused on whatever this lie story is between you and your sales team, between operations and the sales team. They're focused on the drama and the egos. They're focused on people hiding from responsibility. They're focused on the wrong stuff. So every time you drift into mediocrity, every time you drift into being lazy, every time you drift into not doing the shit you're supposed to be doing, patients suffer because your laboratory isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. They're paying attention to you. You should never be the focus of the problem. You should never be the focus of the attention. It should only be the patient and the patient care. The conversations a salesperson should literally have with the operations team is, hey, here's the accession number. Right now, I have a provider who's looking for this. I can't find it inside of our portal. Can you guys help me look for it? Oh, yeah, you know what? We're sorry. We didn't get back to you in time. We didn't have two identifiers on the tube. Oh, okay, cool. But you have the sample. Yes. What needs to happen? Minor correction report. Conversation. We're going to get, or the sample's rejected. Get the patient in to go ahead. Like, whatever the outcome of the conversation is, you're making it about the patient. Where I've seen sales reps do this wrong is whenever they show up and they're like, the lab lost the sample and my reputation is damaged. And now the doctor, we're going to lose the business. And do you understand how hard it was for me to do this? I mean, when I came over here, I was promised more. And then everything comes out. And the person on the other end of the phone is like, I'm an accessioner. And I get paid to accession samples. I have no idea what you're talking about. Right? We unpack everything. We put it on that person who is actually on the phone because it makes us feel better, makes them feel worse, and they have no idea what's going on. Right? So as a sales leader, sales leader, right? It's your job to be able to develop your sales team. They need to understand how to attack clinically. They need to understand how to stay on their own agenda and think critically, right? They're looking for opportunities. They're looking for obstacles. They're focused on the current reality, like what's going on right now in this moment. I'm here now. I'm here now. I'm present in this reality, in this moment, not some future BS, not something that happened in the past. I'm here right now, eye contact with the doctor, and I'm looking for results. I'm a results-oriented salesperson. You, middle manager, you have to develop that. And if there's a shortfall, you need to educate so that way they can execute. That's your job. Your job is to develop people into leaders if they're not already leading themselves. Your job is to challenge them, to coach them, to drive them, to make them better. And you should have a smile on your face whenever you wake up in the morning and you get to do this job. If that's not you, then you should go somewhere else, or you should find a place that helps you develop so that way you can be that person. I had a gentleman who was listening to this podcast yesterday reach out to me. And honestly, it was a proud moment, dude, because he's listening to the podcast and he's like, hey, how much does it cost for me to work with you? What would it cost for me to be able to work with you? And my rates are simple. If I've worked with you in the past and we've already shared space together and you've already taken some of the training, then I have one rate. If you're a complete stranger, it takes time for us to be able to get on board with one another. It's going to take more time for us to build trust, rapport. I got to learn about you, learn who you are, and then I can get results. That takes more time. It costs more money, But the fact is that there's people out there who want to get better. If you're a lab CEO and you're listening to this podcast for the first time, your middle management wants to be led. They want to be held accountable. Competent people will always do what's necessary. And top performers who played college sports, top performers who maybe played professional sports, top performers who believe that they're athletes or they're alphas, they do not want to play for a losing team. And if you're setting them up to lose, yeah, they're gonna get paid. And then they're going to jump ship. And then you're going to be out of the payroll you paid them while they were watching you lose. And they're going to go into victim mode and say that they deserved it. They deserved the money because you didn't know what you were doing. Because they deserved it because you overpromised them and underdelivered. They deserved it because you didn't have a marketing plan. You got the results that you got because they deserved it. Because you were not a network laboratory. They got their paycheck and you got the loss. And that's a lose-lose situation. And it's a never-ending cycle. And I've seen it before. I've seen it recently. It makes my stomach sick to see people take advantage of laboratory owners, lie to them on the interview, overpromise themselves. The owners trust them and then the owner gets burnt. This thing happens both ways. So the moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, is you got to lead yourself first. And you as a middle manager, you as a laboratory leader, you are the mirror for your sales team. And so make sure you're clean. Make sure you're polished. Put yourself in power every single morning. Meditate, pray. Love your family because they help you make better decisions because you're doing it for them, not for yourself. Right? And then your business goals and business targets are going to become clearer and clearer. If you have personal development or team development needs, hit us up, DM us. Let us know. We'll get back out to you. We can work a quote for you. That's what we do. That's what we're here for. The podcast is about science, compliance, sales, marketing, and self-mastery. These dailies are really for me to be able to get some of the things that I'm seeing in the industry out there. I'll send it to somebody here or there. I hope people listen to it. But at the end of the day, this helps me vent. But more importantly, if you hear this message and you want self-development, reach out. We're here for you. You guys have a great one. You've been listening to Lab Results with Blake, with your host, Blake Bork. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Remember, greatness is contagious.